Hey there, YouTubers. Here's another short video without the camera. It's just showing my screen, so don't look for my head anywhere. I'm going over high school mathematics. It's an evolving GitHub-based Jupyter notebook. And of course, it's open source, and because it's on GitHub in that public environment, it's not hidden. People can use it. I have to put a license on, I suppose. Maybe I've done that already. Let's check Elite School. Just see if I have a license file here. Do I have a README? Let's go down to the R's. Yes, I do. But there's no license, really. But I think people understand it's implicit. I should add a license. Let's do that. Blah, blah, blah. I think there's a canned license I can pick here somewhere. Let's just say it's the MIT license. Copyleft 2022 MIT license. I could do Apache license. There's a lot of licenses I could use, but that'll do for now. So what do? I go down and say commit changes. Let's say added a license. Commit changes. All right, so let's go back to the actual content. This will only take a few minutes. Really, I want to show people in my little niche, in my little ecosystem, subculture, whatever, where I do the bridge to the Bucky stuff, as I always do in these videos as well. The Bucky stuff meaning Buckminster Fuller, right? He's a controversial character. He's a subversive, I'd go so far to say. Now, you may not agree with that. You may think he's more like a clown. Some people would say charlatan. But see, that's partly evidence of what I'm saying. You don't go out of your way to attack or smear somebody that is not a threat in some way. So the fact that he has been attacked and smeared a lot, I think, is evidence that he is seen as subversive by some, including math teachers. Why? Because he has a pretty coherent little thing at the center of his philosophy that's easy to teach, and it's a high school level kind of topic. So where I go in my high school math is deep into Python, because I think a coding language belongs as part of a math class. The way you climb the ladder, as Coding with Kids likes to put it in the coding world, is you use math topics as your steps. And this is not at all a new idea with me. This has been a common thread throughout the literature since computers were born, starting with Ada and Bernoulli numbers, whatever she was trying to do in her notebooks around the Babbage machine. In this curriculum, I talk a lot about the Turk, by the way, the Turk who beat Napoleon. Now, if you know what I'm talking about, you know it's the history of AI. So we build math objects. We build like a fraction with operator overloading. I call it a rational number. I make some hay out of rat. I don't mind that we're thinking of an animal if we are thinking in English. Permutation, okay, group theory. I introduce some fancy notations. Then the vector. I think you'll admit, if you've been a teacher in the math curriculum for any recent period of time, vectors have been pushed up to college for the most part. If you're in IB or advanced placement, you'll have them. But I need them, and I need them to do computer graphics. And I dust off the old POV-Ray, free open source, works on Mac, works on Windows, works on Linux, with some work, maybe. All good work, all useful work. I think I compiled it to the Raspberry Pi now that I think of it. Yeah, so it's a totally great program. And what I do is I do what I've done many times for Oregon Curriculum Network is I have Python write scene description language to Pavre, right? Pavre reads the output of the Python and can generate pictures like this, kind of a free-floating tetrahedron in space. when you ask to run Pavre, all these credits go by. I just learned how to suppress some of that, like I was getting a lot more, and it was filling up the notebook even more. But dash GA will suppress some of that. The exclamation point at the start, the bang, is me passing through to the shell. I'm talking to this computer, which is Yosemite. It's pretty old Mac Pro. I have a newer one, still a used one, but it's already up to OS 12 point something. This is still back on Yosemite, but it doesn't matter. All these things are running great. Jupyter Notebook, the whole ecosystem, NumPy, Pandas. And I've talked about other sections in this notebook other times. I'll finish scrolling through it just for completeness. I'm going to pack this out more, linear algebra, with more about rotation matrices. Because really we're looking at polyhedrons as paradigm objects, math objects, but we can also take them as objects in the object-oriented sense. They have attributes, they have methods. What do polyhedrons do? They spin around pairs of points, polar opposite axes. I mean, that's a classic. What are the classic things we do with polyhedrons? We scale them, we translate them, we rotate them. But first we have to create them in the first place, and so there's a lot about that. And the bridge to Bucky Fuller is back there. I'm already off into trig here and probability and statistics. I like to introduce integration and differentiation with respect to the bell curve, actually, which is not a common approach. I mean, when he gets to data science, they'll start using some calculus here, definitely. But your original calculus book in, say, 12th grade in high school is not going probably to feature the bell curve in any respect, probably, when it does integration and differentiation, but it might. Like, I haven't looked at all the textbooks lately. My critique of those is, why are you wasting trees? Why aren't you using an interactive Jupyter notebook? Why aren't you in the cloud like the rest of us and not destroying the environment, right? Now, I know the cloud takes electricity, and I know that, I'm in the Pacific Northwest. We have a lot of hydro dams out here. So for me, I feel like it's just the gravity of the Columbia River that's pushing this stuff. So I don't feel a lot about how I'm creating a big fossil fuel footprint when I do my Jupyter notebooks. I could tell myself a story where I'm Mr. Global Warming, but for now, I'm Mr. Global Cooling, asking people to leave trees alone as far as just these textbooks that go out of date right away. Like, you're probably in your math textbooks at your high school, you're not even using a computer language. You're not even teaching any of this stuff. And so your curriculum is already 10 years old. And why would you want to memorialize it in another edition of wood pulp? Like, why would you want to prove your low IQ? I'm getting polemical here, but why is it good PR to advertise how out of date you are by spending all that money to have it trucked in, right? Truckloads of heavy, heavy textbooks, but no Unicode, no Python, no high school mathematics by today's standards. By today's standards, there aren't any high schools, hardly. Certainly no public schools. Or they'd be teaching the Bucky stuff. That's what I mean by subversive. Because he's an American hero. One of our greatest. All right. Talk to you soon.